Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, April 20th, 2018. I am Dave Biddle, and I'm very happy to be joined by Jonah Booker for his usual Friday appearance. JBook, just want to look back on spring ball, take a deep dive here, things that you were surprised about during Ohio State spring ball, both good and bad. We'll start on offense. What comes to mind first? Anything good or bad that kind of surprised you during spring ball?
Yeah, on offense, there were a lot of good things that happened. I'll start at the quarterback position. I was really impressed the way Tate Martell really had this spring. I was impressed the way he balled out in the spring game. I know a lot of people going into the spring was saying it's a two-quarterback race. And the thing that you have to really like about Martell is he came in and he played like his hair was on fire. I think the future is bright for him. I think there is a spot on this football team for him. He showed how dynamic he can be with his legs. So I think he earned the right to have some type of red zone packages come this fall. So I'm very happy with his development. The other guy that I'm really excited about is Master T. The guy looks phenomenal. I had a buddy tell me that he reminds him of Robert Smith with his top-end speed. He kind of runs with that high shoulder pad, but he looks like he has the potential to be a star in the making. And then the offense as a whole, you have to be encouraged the way they're headed, especially with the wide receivers, with Ben Victor looking like he capped off a pretty good spring in the game. The thing with him is he just needs to consistently bring his A game. That's something that he struggled with. He has his ups and his downs. And overall, the offense, I like where they're headed. The quarterback battle, to me, between Joe Burrow and Dwayne Haskins, I was a little disappointed that we didn't get a clear starter coming out of spring. I know the coaches are saying they're going to have sit down and make a decision. I was kind of hoping one guy would just come in and absolutely dominate and light it up to where everyone knew head and shoulders, this is our guy, but you really didn't see that. And I have to say one of the other disappointments is the news that Matt Burrell is transferring. There was a lot of high hopes with him coming in as a high 4-star. He had the rankings. I know they put him in the battles for the center position, and with him transferring, it's another sequence where Ohio State has had a lot of guys who didn't pan out on the offensive line, and he's another name to add to that list.
Now let's look at the defensive side of the ball. Same deal. Just do a deep dive on the defense. What surprised you, both good and bad, defensively this spring?
Yeah, and the bad, there's not a ton with the defense, but you obviously had to list the injury to Tuff Boylan as one of the bad things coming from the defense. This fall, the linebacker spot is still going to be a question mark. Who's going to be their starting guys, and will Billy Davis have them ready to go? And just parlaying that into the way Justin Hilliard has come on this spring is a great positive for the defense. They're going to need him. He stayed healthy this spring. All indications from the coaches, the light has come on. So if that's true, they're going to need that valuable leadership from him. I know we had in the boarding house earlier this week, they're expecting him to have a similar type of year that Curtis Grant had in 2014, a guy who was a 5-star coming in, really didn't live up to the hype throughout his career, but he gave it his all in that last year and really helped the football team. So I think you can see that. And then the young cornerbacks, I'm very excited about what I saw from Shaun Wade and Marcus Williamson. Williamson played his butt off against Jalen Harris in that spring game, and people in the program are very excited about what he has to offer coming up in the future. So Shaun Wade, Marcus Williamson, definitely two huge positives. That cornerback room is absolutely deep. I'm actually surprised that they're out in the front with the news that Damon Arnett is going to be one of the potential starters. If anything, he's going to start in the nickel. So hopefully once the bullets start flying live, we see an elevated play from him. But not too much from the defense. I know they still need to get that field safety figured out. I know they said that they were a little disappointed with the play from that position, but I think it's going to be Pryor who end up winning it. So hopefully those guys continue to develop. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see one of the incoming freshmen jumping into the two deep if they come out playing with like their hair's on fire.
All right, the $1 million question, and we did do staff predictions earlier in the week. Patrick Murphy compiled that, and we all gave our take on the quarterback position. But, you know, not everybody reads every story on Bucknuts. I know that might shock people, but you should read every story on Bucknuts, but just in case you missed it. JBook, your prediction on who's going to be the starting quarterback and why?
Yeah, I predicted that it was going to be Dwayne Haskins. To me, I felt like it was his job to lose coming into the spring. And from all indications, there was nothing that he really did as far as play to lose that job. They say him and Joe were neck and neck, and they're going to have to make a decision. So if Joe didn't elevate his game to the point to where he surpassed Haskins, who probably came in with a slight leg up, I think all indications that they will choose Dwayne Haskins. Now, if they chose Joe, I wouldn't be surprised. But either way, the fans need to get behind either quarterback. I think either one will have major success at Ohio State. If one loses, I hope both guys can remain in the program because you never know what can happen. But I think it's going to be Dwayne Haskins who's going to be the starting quarterback.
And last thing, I want to talk about recruiting real quick to finish the show. In fact, it doesn't have to be real quick. Say as much as you want on it. 2019, it's very early in the recruiting season. We're still, more than 9 months away from the traditional signing period. Obviously, we have the early signing period coming up in about, 7 months from now? 8 months. So, it's starting to heat up, though. But the Buckeyes now with 6 commitments in their class. They are ranked 14th in the country in the 24/7 Sports Composite, and they're not going to finish anywhere near 14th. They're going to do their usual top 5. It's early when Michigan is ranked ahead of Ohio State in the recruiting rankings. The Wolverines, JBook, are ranked 6th in the country, but they have 9 commitments. But the Buckeyes so far with the 6 commitments, how do you feel like recruiting is going?
The thing about this year with their early official visits and the guys trying to get their visits in as soon as possible, it's moving at a light speed pace compared to past years. Every day, Bill Kurlick or Alex is having articles written up on the Bucknuts talking about who's visiting, and it's hard to keep up with, but it's an exciting time. I think Ohio State is in a position to strike on some big-time, heavy-hitter, game-changing type prospects. As early as you mentioned, with Ohio State, I'm pretty sure there are a lot of kids who want to join the class, but they're going to hold off on accepting their commitments because they're in on so many high-profile kids. The guy that I'm most excited about is Zach Harrison from Olentangy. I mean, I know the video was released this week of him running track, 6'6", 240, a guy's popping a 10.85 is just absolutely ridiculous for his size. That's freakish type athleticism, and I know the board was in a frenzy because he recently visited Michigan. There's been some speculation that he is leaning towards Penn State. You never know with these type of kids, but I think he is a must-get type prospect. I haven't been this excited about a kid committing to Ohio State in a long, long time. I can't remember. To me, when it comes to recruiting, I always say there's never one guy or one kid that can make or break your class. But Harrison is a once-in-a-generation type of talent. You just don't find guys with that type of size, athleticism, and explosion walking around every day. So I think he's one that Ohio State needs to continue to hammer. But if you look at a lot of the guys that they're bringing in, I think the biggest storyline is what are they going to do at running back, because there's some talent there on the board. Are they going to go accept a commitment from the Virginia kid who's looking to pull the trigger early, and then they accepted the commitment from the Steele kid from Georgia this week? There's, he wants to be a two-way athlete. He can play on either side of the ball, running back or linebacker. So how does that affect the other guys? Those are big things. happening in recruiting, but I like where they're going. As far as Michigan, they're going to fall back to earth. I know a lot of their fans have been up in arms because the spin job that their moderators have been putting on their boards about them accepting so many 3-stars lately. If you look at the last 2.5 classes, Michigan has feasted on 3-stars compared to Ohio State. And Michigan, they've accepted commitments from 22 of them, Ohio State 6. So you're starting to see a major talent gap between the two programs when it comes to upper echelon talent. Ohio State is just loading up with top 247 talent, and Michigan is looking to try to develop diamond in the roughs, which it could happen, but chances are when it comes to talent versus talent, Ohio State is really starting to separate.
Great insights, as always, from Jonah Booker. That discrepancy in how many 3-stars Ohio State's landing compared to Michigan and all their 3-stars, that's an interesting number there. Throw that number at me again. How many for Michigan and how many for Ohio State in the last 3 years?
Yes, it's not even 3 years. It's the last 2 classes in this current class, so 2.5 classes. Michigan has accepted 22 3-star kids or lower, and all indications are they have a couple more 3-stars that are looking to pull the trigger, whereas Ohio State has only landed 6. So Ohio State's averaging about 2 3-stars a class over the last 2.5 classes, whereas Michigan is absolutely loading up on these guys. And it's interesting because at the end of the day, Jim Harbaugh is the highest paid coach in college football, and he's been brought in to beat Ohio State and put Michigan in contention for the national title. I don't know if you can do that with a class that is loading up on so many 3-star recruits.
And now, he was the highest paid coach. I think he's third now because Urban's going to be making more than him, and I believe Saban makes more than him now, if I'm not mistaken. I think Saban makes more than Harbaugh. You're right. He was the highest paid coach, and he was brought there to win national championships, not finish 4th place in the Eastern Division of the Big Ten. But strong stuff, as always, from Jonah Booker. That's why he's the man. Thank you very much, JBook. You can catch him on Twitter at JBook37. You can catch his column on Bucknuts. It is outside Columbus. So thank you to Jonah Booker, and thanks to all listeners out there for tuning into the show. I appreciate it. Hope you have a great day and a great weekend. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.